tardes.
My name is Alexander Perla. I am a student in the Masters of Divinity program. I am so grateful to be here tonight. Thank you everyone for being here. I would like to begin by telling you a little about myself. Why wouldn't? Growing up in Guatemala helped me to build grit. The hamlet where I grew up was a beautiful and surrounded by nature. But it was far from the nearest village where my school was. It took me about an hour or two to get there. The school was small with a single classroom, a few desks, and a chalkboard. We had a class only 2 or 3 days a week at best. The lack of government resources made schooling a challenge. Moreover, the school's location made it very difficult for me to attend. But the distance wasn't the only problem. See, as a child, I spent several days lying in bed sick. There were multiple times that I thought I was going to die. My mother and father did all they could to help me. My mother would kneel on my bedside, asking God to heal me. It took several months to regain my health and be able to function again. Finally, I was so excited to return to school, to my little school, where I can finally be together with my friends again. When I was 13 years old, the school received funding to build a new building. And with the help of many of the community and all of us students who labored really hard, we finished the new school in a few months. Soon after that, a group of us helped to build a small church. I was so fortunate to see my own mother become the pastor of this small little church. I saw the drastic transformation that God made of the small community and within our family. However, 2 years later, things changed. The limited opportunities in my home country of Guatemala forced me to leave my family and everything I knew. I was only 15 years old when I immigrated to the United States. The only family I had here was my Aunt Yolanda in Iowa. Soon I realized that learning English was essential. I searched for opportunities to attend the school, but not having the support of my parents here made this very impossible. The only option was night school, so I enrolled. One day during my son's basketball game, let me take a step back. Okay. Working on construction during the day and attending English classes at night was a perfect way to keep me out of trouble. I found myself walking at night through the snow during the cold winters of Iowa just to get to class. I had no transportation, but I had the desire to learn. However, through the years, God has actively put people in my life who have been able to support my education and my desire to learn. I earned my GED, and I went from being a boy in a small village who had little schooling and limited opportunities to eventually earning my master's in business. And that was not enough, because God had more. But this time, God was asking me to do something different, something more profound. With God's help and the support of the community, we built a school in my own country, in that little village, a school that for over 10 years has been serving children in a remote area of Guatemala. and determination. While serving at my church in youth ministries, I also signed up for lay speaking classes. I wanted to preach the gospel. I didn't know what I was signing up for. I did this without realizing what God's plan was. Soon after I began the program, my pastor invited me to preach for the first time. And later he invited me to return again and again. After that, I saw that this was a sign from God. And I shared with my pastor the desire to attend seminary school. He made general comments about a few schools to attend, but he did not think I was being serious. However, I researched programs on my own and requested information from one of the schools, but I didn't get any information. One day during my son's basketball game, John Nelson, another community pastor, sat beside me. He said, "I heard you are interested in seminary school." I was surprised and I asked him, "How do you know?" He said, "The pastor mentioned it. He was praying for me. He was inviting more people to pray." After asking him briefly, he encouraged me to consider Bethel University. He spoke highly of Bethel and concluded that he is an alum. That night, I went home and began reading of Bethel's MD online program. The next day, I emailed them, and I soon received a welcoming video from Justin Allen, the enrollment counselor. After watching the video a few times, I thought, this is probably a scam. I haven't received that kind of welcome from any other universities. But thank God it was not a scam. This was a real person leading me to where God wanted me to be. A few days later, my wife and I took a trip to visit the campus. It was summer and the school was empty. But even so, we walked around the campus and I took a photo in front of the Anderson Center, an image which I later shared with Justin. That trip, my interaction with Justin and God's continued direction helped me to solidify my decision to attend this institution. To be honest, I was speechless when I received a scholarship for the fall of 2024 and the spring of 2025. At first, I didn't know what to write in the letter of appreciation. After spending a few minutes trying to find the right words, this thought came to my mind: just share your story. And that is precisely what I did. In conclusion, each one of us has our own personal story, a story that is worth sharing. Your story might not be perfect. I know mine isn't. But I guarantee you, it is worth sharing because the grace of our God has shaped it. He is a kind, merciful, and loving Father who continues to provide even in the smallest of gestures. Regardless of our imperfections and the challenges we face daily. Whatever you may be facing today, you need to remember this. If God could do such amazing things for this watermelon boy, He can do it for you as well. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8 says, "And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work." Via God's will, my time at Bethel has been amazing so far. and I am excited for what is ahead. Thank you very much for your attention. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart and for every one of us who was here today. Thank you so much for all your continued support. May God bless you.